Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, where wealth strategies and pop culture collide, featuring your distinguished host and certified financial planner, Bart Zandbergen.
Hello, Bart Zandbergen.
Hello, Scott.
Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure. Looking forward.
Today's all about, not necessarily, but necessarily, new year, new you, or at least the context of hitting the reset button, what we do to get our mind right, and mindset in general. So thank you for entertaining us today with your insights.
I'll do my best. Excited about this.
Yeah. So we've done an episode early on, and we've certainly done a few of your wine tasting events.
We have.
Those are always dearly fun. A little silly at the same time.
A little different in format.
That's right. You look handsome and dapper as ever.
Well, thank you, sir. Likewise.
Yeah, I'm dressed to impress today.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised. I thought you'd be in a V-neck T-shirt.
I should have been. I was busy this morning. Let's just say that.
Okay. All right.
So anyways, getting back to that topic, let's talk a little bit about mindset. And offline, we were chatting a little about this of at least I was sharing with you my perspective and take on mindset, and that there is the literal definition, and there's also this practical or real world definition or explanation that people provide. And it's a fascinating word to me, where I think if I were to ask 5 different advisors that we work with, define to me mindset, what that means to you, I think there's a pretty varying explanation. Sometimes it's a response of how I get myself in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
Not necessarily maybe the explanation of this is what mindset truly means to me.
Right.
And that's fine. I don't think there's any right or wrong.
Yeah.
So before I give the literal definition, what do you think mindset means to you?
I think it's one's just frame of mind, how they approach the position they're in. One thing that I look at is that we as human beings, there's a deck of cards, and we're all dealt a hand. Sometimes it's on a daily basis. There's events that happen, and it's what you do with that hand that establishes what your mindset is. I think you can take a positive approach, and we can look at the current COVID pandemic, if you will. I think there are those that just kind of curled up in a ball and went away. Nothing wrong with that. That was their approach. And there were those that looked at this and said, look, there's going to be changes. What can I do to make myself better, make life better, make others around me better?
Yeah. I'm another reminder of how in some ways we're quite similar. Because if you look at my Instagram handle, unless Annie's changed it, which she may have forever, it said that exact same quote of, we do not control the cards that we are dealt in life, only how we deal those cards, or only how we respond to those cards. I forget the exact wording.
Okay.
For years.
Okay.
And not to go down this personal path, but that was really solidified in my life through my experiences and decisions that I've faced with, and I would say some traumas and tragedies that I was faced with, that you have a real choice. This was 100% out of my control, and I can either go down the path of doom and gloom, or I can pull myself up by my bootstraps, like my wife always says, and pick the high road.
Well, you're from Texas now, so
I am, so I can say that.
Bootstraps.
So and with that, how am I going to put the pieces back together to get back on track and be in the right frame of mind as I would define that? I think all too often people make mountains out of molehills. They tend to over glorify things that let's take a step back and just minimize this as best that we can. We're really in a state of mind that we can figure this out. Life is good,
Right.
Easier said than done for a lot of people.
I think that's a very true statement. Maybe easier said than done. I mean, as you were saying that, I'm thinking about something that, to a certain degree, it's a pet peeve for me. But I'm also, it's not black and white. So every situation, every tragedy, every trauma is different. But as a rule, I think many people will say, oh, I can't do this because this has happened to me. I was in a bad, I'll just pull one. I was in a bad relationship, so I no longer can have good relationships. Well, why not take that bad relationship, figure out what was wrong, learn from it, get counseling, get therapy, make yourself right, and then go out and get a good relationship. I mean, that's one example. There are certainly more significant traumas. I had a bad childhood. My parents were awful. Well, guess what?
Right.
50% of the people have had, bad childhood, whatever your definition of bad childhood is.
Am I really the nucleus of the universe, or can I look beyond that and say, there's other people like me?
And by the way, I realize that when I say that out loud, I don't want to minimize because there are some definite tragedies that require more, and so I don't want to put a blanket statement on it, but it just as a lighter general rule, learn from things and just don't let it become part of your identity.
Yeah. So there's two types of mindsets, specifically growth mindset and the fixed mindset. The fixed mindset is the one that you referenced, where failure is the limit of my abilities per se.
Okay.
The growth mindset is failure is an opportunity to grow. X has happened to me. I can learn from this. How am I going to learn from this?
Exactly.
Glass is half full.
Yeah.
Not it's empty and I'm at the bottom. Some other statements that we can use. I can learn to do anything that I want. Growth mindset. Feedback, criticism is constructive. Tell me what it is that I can do to be better because I want to learn from honesty, critique, if you will. I'm okay with that. That's a growth mindset. The fixed mindset, I'm either good at something or I'm not.
Not good.
Yeah. My potential is predetermined. My life is what it is. This happened to me. I was raised by, using the example of my childhood was this, I am a product of that, and it cannot change. That is fixed. There is so much of that in today's world. I'm definitely critical of myself, I'll be honest. And I find myself just naturally in some cases, although I would say generally I feel life. So it's kind of this dichotomy for me of I really believe and feel like my life is blessed. There's so much positive in my life. Part of it by luck, part of it by chance and creation. At the same time, I also find myself overly critical and sometimes a little bit of that fixed mindset. So I guess you could have a little bit of both. Do you tend to fall in one or the other?
Oh, absolutely. The growth.
Growth.
Yeah.
Always and always has been.
I think the growth was learned and practiced. I think early on, probably fixed. But just through maybe teenage years.
Okay. Yeah. So if you can reflect on a time when you were so frustrated of something, what is your natural tendency to respond? Or if there is a specific event, don't feel the need to share, but how did you respond?
Yeah. I think early on I did spend more time just spinning down, a black hole and just, self-pity and so forth. And even if I look now, I've had, in the last 20 years, a handful of traumatics over dramatized, but, significant events. I'll spend a good day or two, just kind of licking my wounds. Mm-hmm. But then, I snap out of it and realize, okay, this is what's happened. This was the hand I was dealt. What are you going to do?
Right. What is my path from this point forward?
Right.
So, we were chatting a little bit before about the pandemic and COVID, and there's all these worldly pressures driven by any number of things. That's not the point of today.
Right.
But it's like more than ever, we're polarized. We're in this environment of A or B.
Right.
Have not. And that's not an easy place for individuals to be and to process.
You have your science behind it on your fixed and growth. Something that I've learned just from life experience and a lot with clients as well and people in my life. I think there's an abundance state of mind and then there's a scarcity. And I have found that people who have the scarcity mindset are always, worried about money. I'm never going to make enough money and fearful of their money. And the ones with abundance are not that they don't care and are not careful, but they're not fearful that, of am I going to have enough money to survive today, to year, to retirement? They're just looking forward and have more positive attitude. And I've seen that to be quite evident.
And what's interesting about that in the context of our world, which is financial planning, wealth management, you probably have some clients, or you've had some over the years, where you really are abundant in using financial stability as the metric or the measure. However, their mindset was so scarcity, they probably never got over that.
Well, here's a perfect example, and this is more textbook, and it goes to your fixed mindset. The Depression era babies. So there's still people alive today from the Depression. There were children then. Their parents raised them, so it was a learned behavior. Are we going to have enough food? Are we going to have money? I know people who have clients with millions of dollars and are worried whether they're going to survive and will not spend their money for anything. I, as the advisor, have been suggesting, take a trip, buy a car, do something. Mm-hmm. And it goes to that mindset.
It does. And not to your previous episode that you just did was on the topic of really defining true wealth.
True wealth, yeah.
And I think not to go down that tangent, but to briefly speak to that, right? Part of your process, part of your journey with your clients is in that mindset, probably helping them better understand. Let's talk a little bit about true wealth, and you can do this.
Yeah.
How do they respond to that? I mean, sometimes it's probably like pulling teeth.
More often than not.
Yeah.
Like, buy this car. Let me send you the money.
Right. You will be fine.
Yeah.
Abundance is your virtue.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting place to be. And, the statement right behind you, mindset's the only thing you can control. And it seems like some people, yes, that is true, but they don't seem to be in the driver's seat of that.
Yeah.
How do they shift?
Yeah. I think that goes back to our previous, fixed mindset comes from upbringing, experiences, and just not the ability to think beyond that.
Yeah. So here we are. It's January, and it's a new year, quote unquote, the new you. I don't believe in that, so I cringe a little bit when I say it. But here we are. It's January 1. Mm-hmm. This happens every year. Yeah. I think, if nothing else, it is a time that I can take a step back as a person and take a pulse of what went right this year. What did I accomplish? Where can I give myself kudos? Where did things go awry? What pivots did I have to make throughout the year? Clearly, we're dealing with that, all of us now. So what is your process for it's the new year?
So this is something I've been doing for roughly 25 years, and it's every December. And the first December, I remember I did not live on the beach at the time, but I got my notebook, got my beach chair, and found a grass slope and just sat for hours and just kind of thought.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot.
You want to put me on the spot.
What brought at that moment in time 25 years ago where it was like, was it a book? Was it a person? Was it your idea? What brought you to that point?
That's a great question. I'd like to take credit for everything I do, but I can't. It was encouraged by a coaching program that I was in.
You were? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this was a step in that process.
Yeah.
And clearly something that is stuck with some level of success.
Yeah. If I'm nothing else at all, I'm a good student. So if I'm suggested or told to do something, I execute.
And I would say a very good creature of process.
Some would say.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Back to your.
Sat on the beach here. I had my pen and paper and did a number of things. I was there for hours. So one was to create goals for 1, 3, 5, and 10 year. And on each of those sets, I will state the age I will be at the end of that year. Right. So 25 years ago, a year later, I would be a year older. And at the time too, wife's age, kid's age, that's all on the top. And then I go down and I break down. So, and this is I don't think I started for goal setting. So 1, 3, 5, 10-year goals. And then I just, this was kind of, this essay actually, I mean, I did create this. I separate my goals by subsections. So health, family, personal, finance, spiritual. I think that's the 5. And so I break each one. Those are the subheadings. And then within each, what it is I want to accomplish by the end of that year. So at the end of the first year.
Mm-hmm.
So again, getting back to a creature of habit, so on and so forth, discipline. So I'll use fitness because that's kind of the easiest one. I'm at, X weight and X body fat. As a guy, I want to be X pounds heavier and X less body fat.
Right,
so
right. We need to gain weight.
And I'm a hard weight gainer. So, that was on there. And so as a goal, then what was I going to do to get there? So let's say I want to lose like 3% body fat by the end of the year. And then I put specifically the amount of cardio I was going to do, the amount of weight, the number of days, very specific, the steps I need to take in order to get there. From there, I take those steps. And was Palm Pilot around then? I don't even know if I had. I'm very electronic tool driven. It might have been pre-Palm Pilot. Do you even know what? Do you know what a Palm Pilot is?
I do not.
Anybody?
Yes.
Okay.
I do? Should I?
Yeah.
Okay, I've
There's
seen one.
no way Danielle
The name
knows.
doesn't.
No, Danielle for sure.
Yeah.
I do
Okay,
not.
so it's the pre-iPhone, right? Without the phone.
Or like the Burberry or
Blackberry.
Blackberry.
Yeah,
Burberry.
Yeah. Now you're shopping.
But the Palm Pilot wasn't a phone.
No, we're definitely going to
It's like an electronic pad. We are, but that's okay.
It's
like
handheld.
1 minute.
Looks like an iPhone. It was the iPhone took the Palm Pilot and made everything you have on a Palm Pilot on a phone for the most part was on a Palm Pilot, but now you have a phone.
Okay, got it.
Whether I had a Palm Pilot then or not, I don't remember. Calendar. So I would calendar in every day the time I was going to the gym. I blocked out the time. I blocked out the time I was going to read my financial stuff. I blocked out the time I was going to do my spiritual reading and blocked out the hours I was going to work. I blocked out family time, blocked out date night. Everything was in the count. I hope I had a Palm Pilot. That would have been a lot of writing.
Yeah.
So that's 1 year. And then 3-year, 5-year, 10-year. So the detail on the 3-year, 5-year, 10-year might not be as detailed. I'm not going to write down every single day that I'm going to work out. But, the bigger goals, I've maintained X weight, X body fat, kind of go into relationship, go into finances, so that's all written out. And then not because I am OCD or anything, so I would take those pages and laminate them and then have them with me. And I know some have laughed, but I would put it in the shower so I could read them every morning when I was in the shower.
Yeah.
And then, so that was project number 1. And project number 2 is something called a statement of vision. So not a vision statement, statement of vision. And that was something I just kind of freestyle wrote, ended up being 2, notebook pages, and kind of took the same areas of family and health and finance and so forth, but I spoke as if it had happened, right? My business is at X level of success. My health is at this level, and I'm living this way. I have a vacation home that the whole family uses. I'm painting out, and there's not a specific year. It could be 1 year, 3 year, 5 years. It's just a time in the future that I'm currently living.
Crafting your image of what is present.
Right.
At whatever. Again, time is irrelevant at that point. This is
right. And then because it's different time, just to give and I think I actually did this on the True Wealth podcast, but the very last few sentences is, for my 85th birthday, I take a 2-mile walk along the beach with my wife, holding hands, and then come home to a birthday party with cake and candles and my family. And the meaning behind that is I'm still healthy enough to walk 2 miles at 85. My wife must still kind of like me because she's walking with me and holding my hands. And my family still likes me because they're at my birthday party. So,
when did that form? That
25 years ago.
Then that closing statement has remained steadfast.
The only thing that changed, I went from 80 to 85.
Longevity.
I might move it to 90.
25 years ago, it's like, man, 80 is really old.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, now 80 is right around the corner. Oh, time flies.
Yeah.
Do you find that as you've progressed in wisdom, that time accelerates, stays the same, or gets slower?
So I'm going to get mathematical with you here. So if you're 20 years old,
Right.
and you look at the past 10 years, that's 50% of your life,
Right.
right?
Yep.
If you're 50 years old and look at the past 10 years, that's 20% of your life.
Correct.
So faster.
Faster. Much faster. Yeah.
Yeah, 10 years seems like a drop in the bucket. these
Yeah.
days.
People tell me that, again, just kind of this practical definition. It's like, as I've aged, the years go faster, the days, or, the lower metric
Yeah.
goes slower. And I don't know if that's true.
Oh,
I don't
interesting.
necessarily have that feeling, but it's like the days seem longer, but the years go by faster and faster, and time accelerates as I get older. To your point, using analytical as a description, it does, because it represents a smaller percentage of your life.
Right. I know that we're both still working hard full time, so my days fly by still.
Fly by.
Yeah.
Yeah, fly by.
Maybe if you're sitting at home all day, they go by slow.
Or golfing 2 rounds a day and all that. Okay, so that is a process. I would define that as your process to get yourself in a shaped mindset of how I'm going to approach the year. I would imagine that there were times in your career, in your life, where it was really hard to get on the right mindset. Can you recall upon a period of time and what you did, or how you, an event, a description, a process that you went through that righted the ship, so to speak?
So, there certainly, I can't say there was an event. I think it's, this isn't meant to be anything but the truth. It's just my method of discipline and stick-to-itiveness, and probably my informal OCD that, this is something I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do it.
Right.
So there was times where I didn't feel like it, didn't feel right. I will tell you during those, couple of times that has happened over the last several years, reviewing the previous ones is a great motivator, and it does really help get you in the mood.
You've saved them all?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has it gotten easier year after year?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's not that it's old hat, but it's wired pretty efficiently.
And what's really, really fulfilling is to see, like, especially the statement of vision, things that have come true, right? And then like resetting the bar because so many things have actually happened.
That's such a healthy motivator of positive mindset. Really, I think your process, all it really does is solidify the foundation of growth mindset. Growth mindset is I will achieve, I will accomplish. Having the ability to then read upon your successes, affirm what it is you've accomplished, only further adds fuel to that fire.
Yeah.
And more, let's face it, we can all use more of that in our life.
Yeah.
Right now, I think, and some of us our externals are forcing upon us, trying to impose upon us, I think, the fixed mindset, which, where's the benefit in that?
Right. I do want to clear one thing. So while it's equivalent to I will do this, I will do that, the statement of vision is it's just happened. It's not like I will do this. I've taken a walk with my wife on the beach. I have a vacation home the whole family uses. It's not like I will have a vacation home. I have it. Right? You're living it. It's not I will. It's going to happen. It's there. I'm in it.
So, in closing, mindset we've identified as something that you can control, right? And helping your going through, just like a warm-up. It's like exercise. Well, if I haven't worked out in 6 months, a year, it's going to be pretty hard to figure out what to do, how to do this, how I'm going to respond.
Right.
The consequences are going to be quite severe.
Yeah, it's a ramp-up period.
Yeah, correct. Having a process to help weather positive mindset, growth mindset, getting myself in the right frame of mind, clearly you have a specific way about doing that. And not that that is the exact way for for anybody.
Sure.
Having something, a way that gets you in that right frame of mind, overcoming those thoughts that might be toxic, negative in some capacity, the can't do kind of thing.
The negative self-talk, that's big.
Very, very big.
Yeah.
And I think there are those individuals that are wired in that capacity where their mind just naturally gravitates toward that. Mm-hmm. And so recognition is, I think, step one in that capacity. Yeah. And two, really, really working hard to create awareness and a process that helps you to shift away from that. Changing the way you talk to yourself, changing the way that you write certain things down, all that will help. And to the point of using exercise as the analogy, probably very challenging to begin with, but the more that I do it, the more that I commit to it, probably the easier and more efficient I become at it. Mm-hmm. Any books, any insight? I mean, clearly this is a lot of this information exists out there. I imagine there's tons of planners and guides that anybody could go get to say, I want to find the template of exactly the way Bart does this, and I just need a crutch.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what year was that? In the 50s or maybe before that, and then reprinted many times.
Absolutely. Story of Babylon.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
Yeah. I just actually re-listened to that. I did that on audiobook again. That's a good one. And pretty much anything by Norm Vincent Peale. He's a great inspiration to me.
And I know there are specific companies that create all of these fancy planners. Some people like print still, I would say, as opposed to digital. Well, having the template and the framework, and all I'm doing is following the process and the mindset to fill it all in would be, I think, a big help. Some people may not even know, okay, what are the specific steps and how I do this?
Right.
Again, thank you for your time.
Hey, it was my pleasure. A lot of fun.
Mindset, the only word you can control.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers to you, my friend.
Tune in next week for the latest edition of the Zandbergen Report, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Catch up on our recent shows by visiting podcast.bartzandbergen.com. The Zandbergen Report is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio and Spotify. Interested in being a featured guest on our show or have a question you'd like to hear us answer? Email podcast@bartzandbergen.com. The contents of this podcast episode do not constitute an offer of securities or a solicitation of an offer to buy securities and may not be relied upon in making an investment decision related to any investment offering Access Wealth Management LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Access does not warrant the accuracy or completeness of the information contained herein. Opinions are our current opinions and are subject to change without notice. Prices, quotes, rates are subject to change without notice. Generally, investments are not FDIC insured, not bank guaranteed, and may lose value. Brokerage services are offered through Tessera Capital, member FINRA.